He had everyone excited that day. And now he's gone, Mazz. Joe Milton traded today.
Yep.
To the Dallas Cowboys for a pick swap between the 7th and 5th rounds. This is where we will begin today on Felger and Mazz on a Thursday, April 3rd from our Town Fair Tire Studios here in Waltham. We're brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook on the radio side, 98.5 The Sports Hub, and Supercuts, Real Smart Hair on the simulcast that beams across New England and the country on NBC Sports Boston. Your thoughts on this deal?
Well, I think the Patriots have perfected the art of giving away quarterbacks for no good return. That's what it feels like to me. Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady, Joe Milton, and I'm not telling you that he belongs in the same breath as either one of those guys, but fifth-round pick. They drafted him in the 6th, right? Do I have that right? Someone sent me a text today saying it was the 7th. I remember a 6th. But so that's all they could get after that, and all the hype and all the bullcrap and all these people who wanted to trade Drake May. Some of them, not all these people, but that's what it is, a 5th-round pick.
Why bother trading him at all? If
I
that's
agree.
What you're getting?
You should have held on to him. You should have gotten more for him. And then some of the reports out there saying that they had better offers on the table, but they wanted to accommodate Milton. Why? Since when does he get the kind of treatment you'd give a 10-year veteran in the league? Jacoby Brissett wants to go somewhere he's put his time in. I would work with Jacoby Brissett. I would. I think his heart's in the right place. Like, fine, veteran guy, put his time in the league, no problem. You tell us where you want to go, and as long as it's not a huge difference, we'll accommodate your request. Joe Milton, who's been here 5 minutes, you got to keep him happy? Why?
Something stunk to high heaven with me with this trade when it first went down. I emailed you guys about it immediately. You would have thought, considering the talk of other teams being interested in Joe Milton, that the return would have been higher. And considering the destination, Dallas, and it's out of conference, and it's the Cowboys, who the organization despises, and the fact, again, that multiple teams called, I was like, well, wait a minute. Did they do their due diligence here? Did they try to get the best deal? And what do you know, like an hour and a half later, Jordan Schultz, NFL reporter, on Twitter, my understanding is since Joe Milton became available at the start of the offseason, teams that showed interest, Raiders, Eagles, Giants, Steelers, Cowboys, but they chose to send him where he was, they wanted to respect his wishes. They didn't get the best deal here. They didn't. Mazz is right. They're just like, they'll give away quarterbacks for nothing because, what, they're trying to do right by the player or Look, he might not turn out to be anything. We probably got a little too hyped into that last game because it was like the only moment of excitement for months with the Patriots. But a 5th-rounder, you could have done better. Fact.
I hate it.
Oh, jeez,
I hate it.
And just as simple as what you said, if it's a 5th, just hang on to him. And maybe he's a pain in the ass in the background. Who the hell knows? But for a 5th, if there's talent there, just hang on to him.
Oh, I mean, I can almost guarantee he's a pain in the ass behind the scenes. When Mike Reese tweets out, trade sparks thought, and the way Mike Reese operates is just so tapped in and so informed, but his reporting is subtle. Yeah, it's all sort of a slip in here, or you guys just got to infer in the tone. But he knows. It sparks a thought. It was driven as much by QB room dynamics as anything else. It clears the runway for Drake May. Boy, do I hate that. So let's just say he's a total a-hole. Joe Milton is.
It's Bailey Zappi all over again. Like, this should be my job.
Okay, so he's an a-hole, and he's a pain in the ass. He's a pain in the ass internally. He's a chance to be a pain in the ass in the room. Good. So you just trade him for nothing?
Right, exactly. That's the part I don't get.
As opposed to, and look, if the return's good enough, you give up on the potential. But the kid does have potential. I have no idea. I mean, no, I'm guessing he's not going to be an NFL quarterback. He's probably not. Too raw, not accurate enough, whatever. But we're wrong about this stuff all the time. He's got tools out the wazoo.
Correct.
So why wouldn't you just hold on and see? Unless someone makes it really worth your while. Dallas did not make it worth your while. You moved up from the 7th to the 5th. Who gives a rat's ass?
Exactly, right. And they invested in a 6th in him, so you're only moving up one round on the return, which is really nothing at that stage of the draft.
I mean, not even when you consider that 7th. I mean, we're just parsing. We're just circumcising the mosquito. You gave him away.
Yeah, they really did. They dumped him.
He was a 6th rounder, by the way, as you said, Mazz.
Yeah, they dumped him. That's a dump, is what they did. They dumped him.
And if he was a bit of a pain in the ass and had a big ego, again, like that could help push May if he maybe needs it. Like it became problematic with Bailey Zappi, but for now, especially if Drake May doesn't ever learn to slide correctly and keeps getting hurt, wouldn't you want the better backup option?
Can I tell you partly why Bailey Zappi was a problem? Because Mac Jones sucked.
Well, sure.
So that affected Mac Jones, or that was an issue because those two were closer in ability and talent than should have been. This, if Drake May is what you think he is, so what if you have a pain in the ass young quarterback behind him? So that should not be a factor if Drake May is what we think Drake May is. And I would also say, if he's a pain in the ass to the coaches or in the room, then why'd you hire Mike Vrabel and pay him all this money?
And why did they draft him in the first place? They didn't know this at the draft?
Well, so Vrabel didn't draft him.
Well, see, I have a thought on that too, but go ahead.
Good point, Mazz. Good point. I think, anyway, hold on. Just shelve that for a second.
Sure.
But the reason you have Mike Vrabel here with all his experience and his swagger and, the big wake that he has when he comes into a room is that he should be able to handle little personality things here and there in the locker room.
You would think so.
So you hang on to raw talent, even if it's a pain in the ass, because you can handle it because your starting quarterback is good and confident and doesn't care. And your coach, should they be able to put out all those little fires? But instead, you just sort of give into it. And now I tie this into all that stuff about we were worried about surrounding Drake May with a receiver who is too demanding. Why are we so worried about Drake May and all these little things?
They shouldn't be.
This is life in the NFL.
Yeah, they shouldn't be. Again, this quarterback's an asset. And if they had gotten a high fourth for him even, I think people would have accepted it. But the fact of the matter is they gave the guy away. And so you got me. They were clearly looking to dump him. And my guess is, looking at the calendar, they wanted to do it before next week. They have optionals next week, right? So guys start coming in. They didn't want him on the field. They didn't want him here. So they said, we're going to move his ass now because why not wait until the draft? That's number one. Secondly, I look at it and I say, so you drafted him 1 year.
And I'm sorry, Mazz, I was just reading something to backtrack because this is a good point. They're all back in the building next week. The offseason phase 1 begins next week.
Yes. Yeah, the 7th, I think they said. I heard McDaniels mention it again today. We're looking forward to working with the guys next week.
They didn't even want him in the building.
They didn't want him here. They didn't want him here. That's why they're doing it now.
God, I thought, what a big, tough Mike Vrabel. Like, you can't handle a pain in the ass, second-year backup, 6th-round pick quarterback?
Exactly.
I thought you could handle that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
And what about Drake May? You're the guy.
Yeah, right.
What do you care if the second-year, 6th-round pick had a good game and thinks he should be a starter? How does that impact you? You go out and do your thing. Why are we tiptoeing around all of this? Which isn't to say, again, there's a point I would have traded Joe Milton. But this, I wouldn't just give them away because you don't want to deal with them.
And that's what it is. It's a giveaway. It's a giveaway. There's no doubt. They gave him away.
There's talent there. I don't know if is he going to put it together? Probably not. But so what? We're wrong about stuff all the time. You look at guys and say, he can't play, he can't put it together. The next thing you know, he can. And if it starts with traits, the traits are the traits. Look at the traits are the traits. He's got traits coming out of the yin-yang. Big, huge arm. Based on that last game, definitely can move. Maybe a little more accurate than he was given credit for. So I don't know. If you've listened to me over the years, going back to the EEI days, Jimmy. Remember, I got in trouble for saying I wish they signed. Was it Dante Culpepper? I can't remember. In 2007, 2008, was it Culpepper or some other stiff? I said they should go sign this guy.
Sounds like you, middling, sucky quarterback.
You want them to, you idiot, you want to sign and then Brady ripped his knee up in the first week of the season, and you were stuck there with your Schmenzer in your hand. Turned out Castle did a good job for you.
He underachieved.
He underachieved?
Castle definitely underachieved. He went from an undefeated season to not making the playoffs. Get out of here.
Okay, I thought Castle had a good year, but we're not here to talk about that. I've always been into having a good backup quarterback.
Of course, yes. Again, that way the operation can continue to run if something happens.
Or a backup quarterback with potential. Next thing you know, all of a sudden, he's something you didn't think he would be, and you've got found money on your hands. And again, if someone wants to overpay in the short term for it, fine. We draft him in the 6th and we trade him for a 3rd the next year. That ROI is too good. You're going to do that. But short of that, why wouldn't you just hang on to the traits and see what happens and deal with whatever little wake he throws up? You should be able to handle it.
Look, again, I think I already heard from a bunch of friends who said, what the hell is this? Because I think most people feel the same way. This was a dump. They dumped the player. They dumped him.
I mean, you all should have, they should have had their eyes open in week 17. I mean, he gave you more than you thought. You were trying to lose. That's why you played him. And he won you the game, and he was like, good. I mean, hasn't Bedard broken down the film? He said that? No, that was actually legitimately good.
I think he said it was better than any game Drake May played.
That's correct. He said it was the best quarterbacked game of the Patriots last year.
Or he might have said it in the last 3 years or something.
Something like that.
It's like the best quarterback game since Mac Jones' rookie year.
Yeah, it was something like that.
That we never heard that Milton was any kind of problem behind the scene throughout the regular season, and he became apparently one this offseason. Did Robert Kraft help breathe life into feeding into Joe Milton's ego by saying we have 2 quarterbacks after that performance?
Bet you Vrabel / May or whoever's got their panties in a bunch over Joe Milton wanting to play was probably pissed at that comment.
Definitely. It's a good point, Murray.
God, you pusses.
Well, this word of him being like a pain behind the scenes or whatever, like, it's feeling like, we had to do it. Like, well, since when? Like, when was Milton a problem? And did he become a problem after the owner said, like, well, we have 2 quarterbacks. Good problem to have.
They didn't want him here next week. Again, the draft's not.
Right.
It's such a good point,
The
Mazz.
draft is not for another 3 weeks.
They didn't even want him in the Drake May, is that effing fragile?
They wanted him out of here.
Or that Sensi? That he couldn't even lift weights with the guy? Because that's all they're doing next week. When they show up, they're just stretching.
They didn't want them in the same parking lot.
Mother Mia, like what the hell?
That's a little scary.
Or Vrabel couldn't handle that?
Yeah.
Vrabel couldn't handle the kids stretching out in the same room or going, like, what? That is disappointing to me.
They should have just picked him for Dallas a year ago. Like, really? It's basically what they did. They picked him. They semi-developed him for a year, or they developed him for a year, and then they gave him to the Cowboys.
So I don't know how big of a deal this is. That's up to you. But it happened. So we're going to talk about it.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.